Today on the podcast, we're talking audio dramas, Perdition's Teeth, and Duck. This is the Kansas City Podcast. Welcome to the Kansas City Podcast. I'm your host, Cole Lindbergh. Many of you know me as the guy who watched Justice League for the first time the other night, and I thought it was the worst movie ever made.
It's a trash pile.
It is absolute trash. I've said this before about DC movies. They love destroying cars. If there's a person that's thrown through the air, right, the chances are good they're going to hit a car and destroy the car.
Dawn of Justice is one of the few movies that I have ever stopped watching and walked away from.
Oh, it's so bad. Well, anyway, and if not, it's nice to meet you. You know, each week here on the Kansas City Podcast, we are joined by a one-of-a-kind KC native for a conversation on life in the city of fountains and a little bit of housekeeping. Of course, I'm just going to toot my horn on this for several weeks now. Thank you again to 435 Magazine for making the Kansas City Podcast the best local podcast. So if you are listening for the first time or something like that, just be ready. You're in for a treat. Subscribe, join in. I also want to say that this morning I was stung by a wasp. And not only was I stung by a wasp, I was stung by two wasps, one on each hand, and I was holding my keys in my hand, and as the wasp stung me, I stabbed my keys down into my finger, and I was bleeding.
Bad for laughing.
Well, it's fine, but wait, it gets worse. Then I get all bandaged up. I go to my car, I turn on my car, and what's playing on the radio but none other than that stupid Weezer covering Africa by Toto, and I was very upset.
Suddenly in my life, I hear the song Africa multiple times a day, and
Yeah.
I don't know when that changed.
I don't know.
I remember that song,
Yes.
and then suddenly, I want to say in the last 2 months, I'm just like, this is the third time today I've heard the song Africa.
And it's not only that, it's like everyone has a different variation of it. You know, here's Africa sung by a choir, and here's Africa sung by Weezer, and here's Africa as a string quartet, and here's Africa by a guy in a coffee shop.
It's getting a bit wagon wheely.
What is... Yes, it is. I never thought of it that way, but it really is, isn't it? I am sick of Africa. This song, I mean, I don't even understand why Weezer has to cover Africa. Do you understand this? Does it make any sense?
It's a bit outside their typical wheelhouse.
I just don't understand why. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited. You've heard his voice. He's been sitting here across from me, and I'm very excited to have him on the show today. We're going to talk about a few different things. He is a composer and sound designer for a brand new podcast called Perdition's Teeth, which is releasing on September 5th. And we're going to talk about that. He also plays in a few Kansas City rock bands like Martian, and Killer City. Please welcome to the Kansas City Podcast, Alex Yoffie. Alex, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, no, I'm very happy you're here. Thank you for having me. And, we've got a lot to talk about. You know, it's always interesting when people are launching podcasts because I've been through it. And, it's a weird, crazy thing. Let's start at the get-go. Why don't you tell the folks? This is your chance. You got to sell them on this. What is Perdition's Teeth? I know a little bit about it. I've listened to the first episode, but I want to make sure that I want to hear it from you. You tell me, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so it's a serial narrative. So it's a different format than kind of your conversation interview piece. So it's a serial kind of adventure horror story set in the Dust Bowl. Opens with a couple of our characters. They're heading west on the Route 66, kind of taking that traditional narrative that we all had to suffer through in high school, but in a totally different way, where there's a very dark, ominous force working against them, and as they travel down the road, they head deeper into this very dangerous situation I don't want to spoil the plot.
Okay, that's good.
But,
okay, so
yeah.
but so it's basically it's a fiction narrative.
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly. Fully voice acted. We got a great cast of people. We were lucky enough to work with some really talented voice actors, and then and the script writers, Cameron Summers and Edgar Mason, the other two main partners in Broken Hands Media. They wrote the plot and wrote the script, and then we're very lucky to have some really great voice actors work on it as well. So,
and you as the sound designer, you're basically constructing it all and recording everybody and putting it all together. I mean, how did you get involved in this? Were they like, hey, we want your help here, or what's going on?
Cameron and Edgar and I have been friends for a long time. So we've known them for, and we had talked in general about the concept of like an audio drama.
Yeah.
Because they were wanting to do some script writing. And I enjoy audio production. I thought it would be a fun twist on what I've done before, because I was interested in the idea of doing composition, whether for like a film or in this case for an audio drama. I thought that would be a fun way to kind of spread out in the music world. And so we sat down in my friend Joe's living room, and Cameron brought some pitches. He had a cool sci-fi setting. He had one other one, and then he had this like 2-sentence concept of like kind of a dark horror, almost Cthulhu-esque adventure trip down the Route 66 in the Dust Bowl, and we were all like, "That's the one."
That's the one.
So it went from being the one that was like, oh, I've got this, really wonderful pitch of these other plots that I've been working on, and I've done all this homework that were great, and I'd love to come back to those. But then, like, he said this one, it was like, what if Dust Bowl, but also spooky? And we were just like, yep.
Spooky Dust Bowl. I like it. All right, good. So with doing a narrative podcast, was it the thought always, hey, we need to do this as a podcast, or like, should this be a movie, or should this, like, what was the decision that led to, hey, it should be a podcast? Because I think that's the interesting part about it. At least when I listened to the first episode, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. This could work as, a set or a play or, a movie, but they went the podcast route and like kind of like an old timey radio story. So why podcast?
Yeah. We came into it with the podcast already in mind. That was our original concept, is we were wanting to do an audio drama podcast. Like, the medium seemed cool. Because there've been others who do that kind of format, and they're interesting, and we weren't really thinking like a movie direction, just because honestly the podcast was like, well, we could do this now, like, could we make a movie? Maybe, you're talking about a whole additional level of complexity. But, when you're trying to pursue a creative field, I think sometimes there's a lot of benefit to, well, what can we do today? It's great to have big dreams and want to, achieve things that are really at a very high level of complexity, but when you're trying to work towards that, it's like, well, let's choose a project that we know we can do, that we can make something really special without having quite so many variables as like making a movie.
Is it going to have multiple seasons? Is it like one season, or like so many episodes, or does it keep going? Like, does it have a beginning, middle, and end?
Yeah, it's got a beginning, middle, and end. The plot definitely reaches a conclusion in the final episode.
Which is how many episodes?
It's going to be 11.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's definitely got a full narrative arc. Would we do a second season? For sure. I think long term, that's something we've talked about it before, about like what would be the next page of this story, but it's not something where we're going to leave people. There is an arc to it, and it reaches an end.
What's the hardest part for you? That's because, you got people writing scripts, and you got to get the voice actors and stuff like that. What's been the thing that's been most difficult for you to put it all together? Because you're trying to create like this atmosphere of Dust Bowl, traveling down can I say it's on a train?
It's mostly in a truck.
Is it
Ford
truck?
Model A.
Oh, okay, in a truck, yes. And then, I'm sorry, I must have misheard it. But heading down.
The episode you heard actually does take place in a train.
Okay, thank you. All right, I was like, wait a minute. I swear.
You're not wrong about that.
I swear there was a train. I was like, no, this is a train. Okay, but as the sound designer, I mean, what has been the difficult part for you, like putting this all together and trying to create that atmosphere?
Translating stage directions into an audio format, because like when we wrote the script we talked about this a lot, and it's something that I over the last like year that we've been in like serious production. We did most of the recording earlier this year, but like leading up to that we were doing a lot of prep work trying to make sure we had everything to go as smoothly as possible. But yeah, thinking it's like, oh, okay, so in this setting, it's the interior of a house, and we need to know that there's 2 other people in the room, but they don't talk until later. How do we create that mental image where people understand who's in the room, who's coming and going, what other objects are in the room that we need them to know about to make so that the plot makes sense later. Like it's a relationship of like a Chekhov's gun, where it's like, well, what if we can't see the gun? How do we make sure they know that the gun is there so that later they know it needs to be fired?
Right.
Which has been a fun challenge, and it's something we addressed in the script writing, because if you listen to old audio dramas or new ones, there's kind of this way of talking that people have where they'll say things out loud that in a normal environment you would, like in a movie, you wouldn't need to say it.
Right.
But it's like, well, if we need to know that
door over there is swinging funny. You know?
Exactly. Like someone's gonna say it out loud and like describe what they're seeing.
Do you hear that whistle in the distance?
Yeah, well, that one's easy because I can put a whistle.
You can put a whistle.
But I can't.
Sorry, there's a dog outside. You can put a dog noise. Okay.
Yeah, but that's exactly the question. Yeah. It's like, okay, so if we need them to know, okay, they're entering this decrepit barn and he's got his gun in his hand and everyone's on high alert. How do we create...
This is a decrepit barn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you create really strong visual images for the listener in a purely audio? And that's been so fun to work through.
And are you like going out and like taking a mic and recording different things and putting it all together?
No, I'm not making Foley from scratch. There's a lot of great resources online of existing Foley work. That's a whole art form. That some people are amazing at.
I love those YouTube videos where you see like a Foley guy at work and he's like watching have you seen any of those? Like behind the scenes special effects. Like he's a guy like, this guy you can see he's walking on gravel. Let me get my gravel pit, and he like pulls it over and then he puts the shoes in it and stuff.
Well, I love the stuff where it's not even like semi-related, where it's just like, to make this, for this fight scene and we need to like break this guy's arm. Let me get a stack of balsa wood and a plastic hammer. Yeah. And, I throw it up in like this crazy creativity of like, how do you stand in this little recording booth with all these random objects and make realistic sounds that are going to go in like a feature film?
Yeah, that's wild. That's some I love listening to stuff. Do you think, you've been working on this for how long now?
The first meeting was 2 years ago.
Okay.
And at that meeting, I thought I was being conservative. So like we talked it all out. We talked about what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to have a full cast. We knew we wanted to do music and sound effects. And, when they first talked, they're like, so this would have been like, September, October of 2016. And they were just like, it'd be cool if we could get this out in the summer, like summer of 2017. And I was like,
you missed that.
I was like, I think this is probably going to take us a year. Like realist, if we start right now, I think maybe we could be done in a year. And I was only off by a year, so it was a pretty good estimate.
Man, it was plus or minus a year, plus or minus a year.
But we got pretty close, and we're there now. I'm just glad we stuck it out. With a long project like that, you start to run into, it's like, are people going to get, like, are my actors going to quit?
Yeah.
Like, is everybody going to be like, no, we're sick of you texting us all the time. Stop asking us about this.
So are they all done? They're all recorded?
Everything's recorded. I've got some music and mixing and kind of like post-production stuff to do, but yeah, the actors are free. They're no longer, they actually recorded right here in this room. So we had every Wednesday for several months, we had our whole crew together here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much done.
That's awesome. Earlier in the show, you mentioned Broken Hands Media because that's what this is falling under. And Broken Hands Media is, as I know it, you're helping create new media projects in Kansas City with literature, art, theater, and music. And this is like the first project, but I know there's a lot of like stories on the website too. Can you tell me about Broken Hands?
Yeah. It was created originally for this project.
Okay.
But we also have other things that we're working on. Edgar and Cameron are both writers, and they're kind of taking the lead on the next set of projects, which is going to be a series of fiction releases.
Okay.
So we've got some other writers that we've worked with. Edgar also has something they're finishing up that we're going to release as an ebook, and then eventually also as like limited run print media. We've got some other writers who have novellas, short stories that we're putting together. So literature is going to be the next major addition. And then continuing to do new fiction blogging, just kind of they've been involved in a writers group for a very long time. And so so the writing is definitely the next thing that's going to be rolling out. And then also tabletop gaming.
Okay.
We have a friend, a close friend who we've been gaming with for a long time. He has written a new original tabletop RPG setting and system. He's kind of finishing that up now, so that will be in the medium term. Another project we're going to add is a tabletop role-playing setting, and then continuing to do more the audio projects as well. We're still kind of dreamboarding our next, but we've got some ideas for another scripted drama or something in a more conversational, like traditional podcast style, more of a like think piece type of approach. But yeah, and then continuing to also develop the YouTube channel. That's gonna once the episodes start coming out, I'll be able to shift my energy back to the YouTube side of things and do videos both related to Perdition's Teeth as a show, but also music-related videos that are going to go on our YouTube channel.
So you're staying busy. You guys are going for it. I mean, you're putting the time and the effort and coming up with a lot of different ideas to try to really make this. There are a lot of different avenues.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it because we want it to be something that is consistently producing things that people are going to be interested in. We have really broad interests, and we fortunately know people who have all these different creative pursuits that they're doing. And so our thinking was, and that's why we're calling it like a collaborative project. It's not about, we're not like the label that's like putting it out where you like owe us money. The idea is just to be kind of a hub for a lot of different projects that are, because I think a lot of people really do have broad interests, and I think people get too fixated of like, oh, well, this is only going to be music and this is only going to be television and I think that there's, especially when you're talking about like artist focused media instead of brand focused media, you can have that like variety of things where it's like, here's just all this different cool stuff that people are making. And
everybody that's going to be, I mean, you're talking about all folks from Kansas City.
Yeah, it's Kansas City focused for sure.
It's very exciting. So, I mean, one day I could go on there and see, read a story, then hear another podcast episode, then check out a YouTube, like just all from all different people all over the city.
Yeah, that's the dream, man. That's the idea. Is you can buy a book, you can watch a YouTube video,
play an RPG. Yeah. Why Broken Hands? So I'm scared to why it's the name is Broken Hands.
comedy value and also just like
You
and I'm
hesitated.
trying, like how real should I get?
Well, you can get as real as you want. I mean, just from the slaving away on like putting things
like
together.
literally all three of us are myself, Cameron, Edgar all have assorted chronic pains, whether it's knees or backs or wrists, and so it's something that like we gripe about and relate to each other with, of being like, oh god, I can barely walk up the stairs today. Oh man, I feel that. Like, yeah, my hand is cramped up today. I can barely type on a keyboard. And so that's kind of like where we is to us, that's kind of a very authentic experience of just like wanting to do this work, wanting to do these projects, but just kind of we have a shared experience of just kind of chronic nagging pains.
Very nice. Very nice. I get it. I understand. You play in some bands here in Kansas City.
Yeah.
How long you been playing in Kansas City with music in Kansas City?
I played in bands in high school back in the day, and then I left Kansas City for a while to go to college, but I moved back in 2009, and pretty much immediately got together with some of my old friends, people that I knew from before I moved away, and joined a band. Been doing bands pretty much constantly ever since.
How much has it changed since 2009 to now? I mean, has it?
Oh, I mean, a lot of things have changed. I was talking to a musician named Claire Adams, one of my very closest friends, the other day, because we played together from 2009 to like 2014. We played in a band together, and we were just talking over drinks the other night, just listening to some music, having a good time, and just talking about our personal attitudes towards music and how like, the person I maybe was when I was 22 didn't really have maybe the healthiest relationship to like music, and like how that's grown. And so I feel like I enjoy it much more and have a better relationship with music than I have ever had before in my life.
Yeah.
And then also, the scenes, new band. To some extent, it's a lot of the same people that I've known for a really long time.
Right.
The band names change and the venues change. Places open and close. Places move locations. All the normal stuff of 10 years of a city, of how things change.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I understand that wholly. What are you worried? I mean, here's what I'm worried about, Alex. You have so many things that you're involved in. You're designing sound for a podcast. You're trying to launch a media company. You're still playing music. I find this all the time where I'm like, oh no, I'm running out of like time to do the things that I want to do. I mean, are you overwhelmed? You don't seem to be. You seem to be fine.
It comes and goes. I mean,
Okay.
there's definitely days where the frustration comes, where it's like, got to send those promotions. So like, to me, promotion is the vampire of my energy.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I got to send these emails, I got to make these Facebook posts, but I'm tired.
Yep.
And I don't have that like psychological strength to push through and keep doing it.
Facebook's a lot harder when you're like when you're not just like looking at people's statuses, when you're like trying to come up with a catchy status to entice somebody to click a link or something. It's not fun. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, fortunately, we've been lucky. We divided up. All of us help manage the Facebook page, take some of the burden off, and just behind the scenes.
So you can take a nap.
Yeah, so I can make the damn show. But no, it's been a team effort like the whole way through. And then like the people who did the voice acting have been great with sharing stuff and talking to their friends about it, and we want them to also get the recognition they deserve for all the effort that they put in. So we've got on our website, brokenhandsmedia.com, we've got a whole creative partners page. It's got bios of everybody who put in so much effort to make this happen, links to the projects that they're doing. And we also are going to continue to share on our Facebook page, all the people who are working with us, their projects, their events, their art openings, all the different stuff that makes the group have that creative fuel.
So when September 5th comes around
Yeah.
and Perdition's Teeth launches, is it like a sigh of relief you feel? Like, what are you expecting? Like, what if it starts steamrolling just from there? Like is the reward enough for it to be like out there?
I'm going to try not to like obsessively refresh the analytics and be like, oh my God, is anyone clicking on it? No, it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it. Like, just that feeling of having done it and gotten it out there in the world.
Yeah.
Obviously,
especially with 2 years. 2 years of work on something is a long time to like work on it and get frustrated with it and all that, and then finally reach an endpoint.
Oh yeah, and like obviously, I would love it if it was successful and lots of people were subscribing. But to me, I feel like the real success is choosing to do it and then doing it, and that's one of those things I was talking about maybe having a little healthier attitude with music and creativity in general. Is, some of my favorite times in music haven't necessarily been, I've been lucky enough I haven't played like a ton of like really large shows, but I've played a handful that there was a good amount of people there. They were pretty successful shows and great parties, a lot of fun. And those were good moments, but I've come to really appreciate just like being with the group of people that I find energizing creatively, just playing the songs just to enjoy them and really focusing on the experience of being a musician instead of some arbitrary like, oh, well, we only sold 100 copies of the album, so that was a failure and we wasted our time. Yeah. And that was that negativity that was kind of haunting me at one point in my life. And I certainly still feel those types of like worries about like, well, what if no one listens to the show? But I don't interpret that as a failure anymore, because like what we did is we wanted to do it. We had a ton of fun doing it, and we made it and we put it out there in the world. And if the first episode is a hit, or if 5 people listen to it and 3 of them are my mom, that's cool too.
Yeah. Okay. You've got a good attitude about it.
I'm trying.
You're doing good. Well, it's going to be very exciting on September 5th when this launches, Perdition's Teeth. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Kansas City Podcast. Hey everyone, Cole here from the Kansas City Podcast. I hope that you are having a great week, a great time, a great end of summer. We're coming up on September. We're coming up on, what is this one that's coming up? It's Labor Day, right? Yeah, we're coming up on Labor Day. It's a busy time, especially if you've been listening to the show. Our last week's guest, Mickey P., her album comes out this weekend, September 1st. Today's episode, we're talking about Perdition's Teeth. That comes out on September 5th. We've got more episodes in the pipeline. Things are looking good as we round out towards this final part of summer into the fall. And I appreciate you listening to the show. I appreciate you coming back week after week after week. Please subscribe, tell your friends, write us a review, like our Facebook page, anything that you can do to help spread the word about the Kansas City Podcast. It is always appreciated. Back to the show. Welcome back to the Kansas City Podcast. I'm your host, Cole Lindberg, here with Alex Yoffie. Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
All right, so during the break, I was spending a lot of time. I was pitching my new podcast project to Alex and hoping that they can put it on Broken Hands Media. It is a podcast. It's called My Wife Watches Game of Thrones.
Oh, God.
Okay, and what it is that my wife, she's never seen Game of Thrones, okay? She's never seen it. And she only hears bad things. It's a horrible show. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
This is an amazing pitch. Okay, so I'm amazed by this pitch because I actually hate Game of Thrones. Okay. I don't like that show.
Okay, so here's the pitch, right? So my wife hates Game of Thrones. She's never watched an episode, but she, from reading reports and hearing things about it and all this stuff, she doesn't like it and she doesn't want to watch it. I think there's also this scary factor, possibly, or just it's just a lot of crazy nerdom and geekdom, right? So my idea is that before the final episodes start of this final season, we're going to sit down and we're going to watch episode by episode, and then I'm going to have her review it and basically ask her questions.
Sounds amazing.
And see what she thinks about Game of Thrones. What do you think? Could we do this for Broken Hands Media?
I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Executive decision. That's the next project. Sorry, Cam and Edgar. We're throwing out everything you guys have been working on. We're doing Game of Thrones review
It's
podcast.
not a bad idea. There were a lot of people. My wife Maria was on our birthday episode, and there were a lot of people that texted me. It was like, Maria was funny. She should be on the show all the time. And so I'm like, I got to get her out there more to do more like crazy podcast stuff. I think this could be a good idea.
Yeah.
You know what? I may have actually spitballed a good idea just now. Because
solid.
during our break, we did not talk about this at all. You know, if you've listened to the show long enough, you know that I don't know what I'm talking about when we come back from break. But
I was ready to agree to anything too. So you were like, so we've been talking about this new pitch, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll play this bit. Yeah. Like, let's do it.
Good bit. All right. Hey, Alex, do you want to take the Casey query?
Yeah, I could do that.
Questions right now.
All right, it's time for the Casey Query FKA quiz. You know, Alex, you know how this works. I'm going to ask you Kansas City related questions. You answer those questions. You will be rewarded points. Remember, if you don't like a question, you can just say stupid question. And remember, folks, if you would like your question added to the Casey Query, you can always tweet us at Kansas City Pod. Okay, we always start with this question. I say this every time.
All right.
We start with this question. It gets you juices flowing, gets you start to think about things. It is your favorite Kansas City restaurant that is not barbecue.
Antler Room.
Antler Room, oh yeah? What's your go-to at the Antler Room?
Well, they change the menu all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Anything with duck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you go to the Antler Room and there's duck on the menu, you should order it.
Why? Just because it's that good?
They just do an amazing job.
I don't remember if I've had duck before. Why
Oh
is
man,
there
you
not?
haven't had duck.
I don't think I've had
It's
duck.
one of the best birds. It's a good quality bird.
It's a good quality bird?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, life secret. So at multiple places, but like lard, like pork lard.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
common.
yeah.
You can get just duck fat.
Okay.
Cooking like light flavored things in duck fat, like cook a little mushrooms in there, toast your bread in duck fat. It just elevates it to a level that you have not, like, I don't know how you toast your bread, but we toast our bread on a cast iron.
Yeah.
So you put down butter and actually cook the bread in a pan instead of in a toaster.
Right.
Which is the better way to toast bread.
Right.
But yeah, little duck fat, little bread.
I'm afraid of cast iron because I'm afraid I'm going to burn myself. Because we have a lot of cast iron, but like, you know, once it's getting hot, you can't touch it. And see, I always like moving the thing around. So like one time I almost went to touch the thing, like the handle, and it was like, no, oh God, it's hot.
So we've got one that it's one of those big 2-burner flat iron cast iron. So it's not a pan. It's just like a big rectangular cooking surface that just sits on 2 burners.
Okay.
So half of our stove is permanently turned over to a cast iron flat iron grill.
Oh wow.
Which has been like in my world where I buy whatever I want, I would get like 4 burners plus a small flat iron on the side. But I don't have like $8,000 to buy an oven, or a stove. So this is a good halfway between.
This is a great answer to that question. I'm giving you 5 points. Well done. Okay, so second part of the question now. Are you a barbecue fan? Your
I do
favorite,
love barbecue.
Your favorite barbecue. What do you got? Do you have a tier? Do you have an ultimate? What do you do?
I mean, I gotta go with Oklahoma Joe's.
Yeah.
I lived over in that neighborhood for a long time, and like the sandwiches are just classic. I grew up on Gates.
Yeah.
Gates was my go-to for a very long time, especially their ribs. We still buy Gates sauces. I think their sauces are top shelf. Haven't done the restaurant as much recently, but definitely still a believer in the sauce. If I'm going to do a barbecue restaurant, I'm probably going to end up at Oklahoma Joe's, or I guess Joe's KC now.
Joe's KC, yeah.
Can't change the names.
You
on
get a
stuff.
Z-Man. What's your go-to at
Yeah,
Joe's?
Z-Man's classic. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. But pretty much any of their sandwiches. I still call it Sandstone Amphitheater. I don't go around learning the names of things.
Yes.
When they
No,
change
I still
them.
call it Sandstone as well. That's a really good segue into our next question here on the KC Quiz, because it's your favorite place to see live music. Do you have a favorite place in town to see live music? I mean, come on, you've been all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, still gotta probably put the Record Bar at the top. I actually love their new space a lot.
Yeah, it's nice.
Kind of a crazy story of how they got there, but I think that they've taken a difficult situation and turned it around into it's a great space. I mean, I still like seeing music at the Brick.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely depends on the band, because like certain types of music really suit that room better than others. But yeah, I would say Record Bar or the Brick, probably my top two.
I used to play trivia at the Brick a long time ago. I would go to their trivia night many years ago. Here we go. Your favorite local brew. Do you have a favorite local brew?
Favorite local brew?
Or like favorite like local, there's all these like breweries and stuff are popping up all over the place. Or like, do you get a chance to go like check any of them out? Like, do you got any thoughts? What are your thoughts?
The Rieger Hotel distillery makes a gin that's very good. So their whiskey was kind of like their flagship.
Right.
I think the gin's better.
Oh.
Because they poached, not poached, but they got one of the master distiller people from Tanqueray actually helped develop it.
Interesting.
But it's really good.
I haven't had it. I don't know if
you're a gin drinker.
I'll try anything. I feel like the hard liquor stuff, some of it. I mean, I've had some really good cocktails. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes I just want like a beer.
Yeah.
Like it just depends on my mood. It depends how I'm feeling.
You can't go wrong with Bob's 47.
Yeah, I know you can't.
I mean,
you're right about that. Here we go. We'll stick with the music thing here for a second. The best concert you've ever seen in Kansas City.
Best concert I've ever seen in Kansas City.
Best concert you've ever gone to.
Man, that's a crazy question.
If you got more than one, that's okay.
Part of me wants to say OK Go.
Oh, all right.
They were real good.
Was that like during the treadmill phase, or was that years after, like when the crazy music video phase?
This would have been, I want to say, tail end of the crazy music video phase. I want to call it 2013.
Okay.
If I had to guess a year without looking it up, this would have been
Where was it at?
the Uptown Theater.
Okay.
That was a great show. Also, Mastodon at the Uptown Theater.
Oh, wow. That would have been a hell of a show.
Good show. And then, actually, it's such a novelty, but Death Clock was actually really fun.
Yeah, when they were doing, Brendan Small was doing that tour. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I remember reading about that. I did not go, but that's very interesting.
I don't know if I'd say it was my favorite, but I definitely got my money's worth out of Death Clock. Also, definitely got our money's worth out of Baby Metal.
Oh, you saw Baby Metal.
Yeah,
okay.
that was a good show. I don't know if that's like a controversial opinion. They're going to take away all my metal cred and be like, you can't be in metal bands anymore because you said you like Baby Metal.
Yeah,
but
you can't. Dude, like, what the hell? Get the hell out of here, man. What the hell are you thinking?
But I was freaking entertained.
Let's see here. I like that answer. You're going to get 4 points for that. Well done. Really good job. Here we go. What's the best type of salad dressing?
Olive oil. I don't really eat salad.
You don't eat salad?
I mean, I guess I gotta go with like a good olive
You
oil
were
and
talking
vinegar.
earlier about duck and all this stuff. I'm just like, come on, this guy knows his food.
Yeah, I don't like just. So most people make salads really lazily,
Right.
and they just kind of throw some lettuce and crap in a bowl and flip it around and call it.
But you can do so much more.
Yeah. I like cooked vegetables. I was gonna say, like, I'm not a big raw vegetable eater, but olive oil and vinegar. Like, if you're gonna go the classic tossed salad route.
Interesting. That's
It's not a great answer. I'm not going to defend that.
1 point. The greatest movie of all time. Your favorite movie of all time.
The Thing.
The Thing. John Carpenter. Very nice. That is a good answer to that question. We'll stick on that thing here for a second. You know, last week we had Mickey P on the show. We talked a lot about a lot of different things, and so I've officially. What are you looking for? What
I
are
am
you
looking
doing?
for. Here, hold this microphone
Hold
for
on.
1 second.
Wait. Okay, hold on, Alex. I asked that question, and now he's running around looking at things. Hold on. This is something's happening. He's pulling something off a shelf here, and it looks like to be books. He's got a giant book.
It's a collection of it's a 400-page art book of The Thing inspired art.
Oh man!
It's got
Hold on,
it's
I
got
wanna look at
movie
this.
posters. It's got illustrations. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a great book.
Oh, this is this is a nice book.
Yeah, no, I love The Thing a lot.
You do love The Thing.
This is actually Cassie's book, but I share her enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Okay. Yes, you love The Thing. You do love The
It's the
Thing.
best movie ever made.
That's pretty damn awesome. Okay, I want to spend all the time with this book, but it's a bad idea because we could just sit here all day and look. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, here we go. Next question. Like I was saying, we had Mickey P on the show last week. We talked a lot about music and things, and so I've added this question to the quiz in her honor. Who's your favorite Beatle?
My favorite Beatle is probably Ringo.
Ringo. Why Ringo? Are you a Ringo?
Am I a Ringo? I don't know. I think it's probably because
Do you
when
have
I
a
do,
song about an octopus?
I think it's probably because if I need to do a Beatles impression, I go Ringo because
Yeah.
you don't have to try very hard to make it believable.
You don't. Yeah.
That's my justification.
All right. What is your Casey date night? If you had to go on a date night, where are you
Casey
going?
date night.
Yeah, what's your Casey date night?
That's a good question. Just like there's a lot of good stuff to do. I mean, Cassie and I really like restaurants. So
Okay.
like if we're
You're
gonna
foodies.
if we're gonna do like a date night, there's a good chance it's gonna be focused around a restaurant we've never been to.
Okay.
Because there's so many.
Oh, yeah,
Like
they're popping up all over the place all the time.
There's so many good restaurants. Like the next one that I know that we're wanting to do is the omakase 7-course meal at Jirocho.
Oh, yeah.
We were actually going to do that for our anniversary, but there was some mix-up with the scheduling, and we couldn't make it work. But yeah, so I think that's like the next on our list because like we've been to Jirocho before to like just like do the normal menu, but they also have this like custom like chef-made like 7-course meal that you can do for like a
That sounds
special.
It sounds expensive and it sounds delicious all at the same time. Here we go. I got another question for you. What's your go-to karaoke song? Do you sing
My go-to
karaoke ever?
song is When Doves Cry.
Really? Why? That to me sounds like a little bit of a downer.
If you're brought down by When Doves Cry, I don't value your opinion. That is a jam. Anyone who doesn't love that song is just wrong.
No, yeah, okay. I don't want to make you not value my opinion, so I will take it back. That song is not a downer. Yeah.
Maybe it is a downer. Maybe
it
I'm
is a
bad
little
at
bit
karaoke.
maybe it's the way you're singing it. Here we go. Do you have a question for me?
You can't see the face I just made. That was an ambush. Oh, man. How'd you decide to get into interviewing people?
How did I decide to get into interviewing people? That's a great question. Because what I found is that I like talking to people. I like learning new things about people. I've always been a little bit of a conversationalist, but I've always found that what ends up happening is that I have a really hard time staying. A lot of times, I only want to talk about things that I care about. You know what I mean? Like you want to, and so for me, when I'm doing this podcast and talking to people, I want to learn about things that either I've never thought about before, or a chance to learn and do new things. But really, the idea more is that I want to get to know my city better. You know, I've always lived up north. I was always like, I grew up in Smithville. I didn't ever get a chance to come down to the city that much when I was a kid, you know? And now I feel this need to like, I feel this connection to where like I can sense my city is changing and growing, and I want to go out and meet the people and talk to people. And well, I like talking to people. So it's just
Smithville's really pretty though.
What's that?
Smithville's really pretty.
Smithville's great. I love Smithville. I've lived there, you know, my whole life basically, you know, aside from like, you know, going to college and then different apartments and things like that. But I mean, I always, when you're up north, okay, there's not, everywhere you go is a chain restaurant,
Yeah.
you know, and like, so the chance to like go and see and see and do cool new things seems to be blossoming in the city. And so if I can learn more about those things and go talk to people about them, then I'm hitting like all of my like sensory like at one time, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm meeting somebody new, I'm doing something cool and new, I'm talking to someone, and now I'm like creating something. So then that's great too. So I think for me it's more just a matter of like, these are things I like to do, and this to me is an outlet that I can just check off a whole bunch of things all at once.
That's a great answer. I'm going to give you 5 points.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We only got a few questions left here. What year will the Chiefs win a Super Bowl? Will the Chiefs ever win a Super Bowl? Are you a football guy?
2020.
2020?
I'm going to
Okay.
be bold.
All right. Favorite ride of Worlds of Fun?
Favorite ride of Worlds of Fun? Probably. So the Orient Express, which they had to take away.
Yes.
Probably the Mamba was number 2.
Okay.
Also Zambezi Zinger, also gone.
Also gone. Yes.
The one where you go backward, the Boomerang, that's pretty solid too.
I do not respect your opinion. That's the worst answer.
That
Earlier.
was my 4th of the list. They took away all the good ones.
Here we go. It's time for a final question. We always do this. I always finish with like a Google, the Google challenge. Okay. And what I've done is that I have typed into Google a word or phrase, and I'm letting Google do the autocomplete. Okay. So it is your job to guess the autocomplete. And while we were sitting here, I had a different one, but I thought, you know what? No. I need to get this going here. So I typed in John Carpenter from The Thing.
Yeah.
John Carpenter is
Dead.
Yeah, that's correct. But it's John Carpenter. Is he dead? But yes, John Carpenter is dead. I hope you appreciate that. Good job. You got it correct on the Google challenge. Let me tally up your points here. 10, 25. 37. You are at 39 points. Well
nice.
done. And I'm at 5.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. Awesome. Alex, thank you so much for taking the KC query.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen up. It's the KC query. What? KC query. Yeah, give it to me. Ask me some questions right now.
All right, Alex, we are nearing the end of our time today. This is now your time to shine. It's your chance to plug. It's your chance to tell people where they can find Perdition's Teeth and Broken Hands Media. So the floor is yours, sir. Take it away.
So yeah, Broken Hands Media, our first production, Perdition's Teeth, comes out September 5th. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. We're on Google Play. We're on Stitcher, whatever your podcasting platform of choice is. You can find our Facebook page, Broken Hands Media, get updates about new episodes, and also just like sharing a lot of stuff about like the creative process and how we've gotten here, and then our new projects later when the other things start coming out. BrokenHandsMedia.com is kind of the central hub. Everything's there. You can download the episodes. You can read the blog posts that Cameron and Edgar have been writing about, you know, how they kind of invented this story in this world. They're really creative, interesting people. So I like hearing their thoughts, even though I see them all the time. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Facebook. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's going to be coming up here soon. But yeah, a lot of different places to catch up with what we're doing.
Very nice. And we will be linking to Broken Hands Media from our Facebook page, our website. We will also share the first episode when it goes up on September 5th. I just want to read this because this is the I don't know, I wouldn't call it the teaser. This is like the description of Perdition's teeth, right? And
Yeah.
I wanted to read this. It says, I'm going to read it in my like my movie trailer voice.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
All right. Perdition's teeth. Yeah, my movie trailer voice is exactly like my own voice. Coming September 5th, a new original story set in the drought-plagued backdrop of the Dust Bowl. 3 desperate heroes set themselves against an insidious and deadly enemy. Devils and prophets, masters and workers, the God-fearing and the gun-slinging collide. And who, if any, can hope to be left standing when the black blizzard finally settles?
You did a good job on that.
Perdition's
That's a bit of a
teeth.
tongue twister.
Perdition's Teeth, coming September 5th. BrokenHandsMedia.com. Hey, pretty good, right?
Yeah,
All
that was
right.
great.
So we will link to all that from our website. Remember, folks, you can find us on our site, theKansasCityPodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Kansas City Pod. And, of course, you can always follow me on Twitter at Cole Limberg. This has been great. Alex, it's been great to meet you. I'm excited for you. I'm excited that this 2-year project for you is coming to fruition, and
me
I
too.
hope you reap all the rewards and benefits, and I hope people will listen to it and enjoy it. It being obviously much different than this show, and much different than a lot of other podcasts out there because it is a fiction podcast. It's like a radio drama. So hopefully they'll take a listen. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words that you want to share with the people?
Oh man, I really appreciate you having me here. It was great to meet you as well, and this has been really entertaining. Actually, this has been a fun morning.
Well, good.
We've been.
I'm glad I didn't bleed on your couch or anything, and the venom
watch
from my
out for
wasp bite
wasps.
is. I mean, I put some hydrocortisone on it right away, and it's starting to go down. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
Be careful, folks. The wasps are out, and they're crazy.
Wasps are the worst.
Watch your back. Alex, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We will see everybody next week here on the Kansas City Podcast. Bye.